The Bundesliga is the top flight of German football, and it's considered by many as having the best stadiums of any league in Europe. Whether that's the case or not, they certainly are elite, and we all know that German engineering is held in high regard, so why would it be any different for the stadiums? With that being said, here are the Bundesliga 2021-22 stadiums. Oh, and to any Germans watching, I do apologise for the pronunciations. WWK Arena. It claims to be the first carbon-neutral stadium in the world, although you can still buy meat here, unlike at Forest Green Rovers ground that took carbon-neutral to the next level. Other than that, the stadium's quite straightforward. A silver and white, no-frills exterior, and on the inside it's fairly standard, with a single-tier bowl for the most part, and a terrace at the northern end. Terraces are very common in Germany, as you'll see. Olympiastadion. This stadium has played a huge part in the history of the world, having hosted the infamous 1936 Olympics, and the design is fittingly quite grandiose, particularly the wraparound stone exterior, although it was looking quite dilapidated before it was renovated in the early 2000s. I do like the overall classical aesthetic, as well as that small open section that offers views of the famous nearby bell tower, that's built into the stands of the adjacent stadium. Stadion an der Alten Försterei. Once again, do apologise. As the name alludes to, it's located right by a forest. Well, it has something to do with a forest anyway. I don't speak German, unfortunately. Something I think's fairly interesting about the ground is that it was built by the supporters. Well, kind of. Most of the labour that went into renovating the ground about a decade ago was contributed by volunteer supporters, and I think they did an excellent job. Schüco-Arena, also known as Bielefelder Elm, goddammit. But the naming rights were purchased by a solar panel manufacturer, who were presumably responsible for the solar cell glass roof of the eastern stand. That generates electricity. Solar panels on the roof are quite common in Germany, and I hope it becomes the norm worldwide. Well, Scotland needn't bother. It is a fairly straightforward stadium design for the most part though. Vonovia Ruhrstadion. Although it's listed as having been built in the early 20th century, it was completely rebuilt in the 70s. I love that exterior. Those bare concrete beams add a brutalist charm to it, which definitely isn't everybody's cup of tea. But neither is tea. But I like it, it's something different. The stadium, that is. But I like tea as well. Coffee's just a lot better. Oh, the interior, however, isn't something different. It looks completely normal. Signal Iduna Park. The first thing I notice are those strikingly vibrant yellow roof support pylons. They look great, and they really tie the whole place together. This ground is Germany's largest stadium in terms of overall capacity, and that large capacity is put to good use because it's almost always a full house, in normal times. In fact, Borussia Dortmund have the highest average attendance in Europe, only slightly less than the stadium's capacity. The main reason behind the stadium's famous atmosphere and a larger capacity than what it would appear is the southern terrace, referred to as the Yellow Wall, which in itself can accommodate 25,000 spectators. Deutsche Park, another stadium with a foresty name. Not Deutsche Bank Park, but its non-commercial name, Waldstadion, meaning forest stadium. And once again, the name rings true, there are plenty of trees about. The stadium's most unique feature would have to be the soft-top retractable roof, made up of a membrane that runs along steel cables and folds up into that central video screen. It's surprising that there are so few roofs of this style. The interior looks great, and I'm sure you can get a pretty tasty Frankfurter at this place, because it's in Frankfurt. I hear the food here is second only to hamburger, who play in the second tier of German football. But they don't come close to my favourite club, Sporting Burrito. Schwarzwald-Stadion. It's yet another stadium with a forest in the name, but this time it's black forest, so the food here caters to those with a sweet tooth presumably. It's actually the sponsor's name. Freiburg's new stadium is facing delay after delay, so it looks like they'll be starting off here at the very least. It's quite old school compared to most stadiums in this league. It's definitely lacking in certain aspects, but it's situated in a pretty little valley and you get some nice views of the surrounding hills. But their new stadium is undoubtedly a major upgrade. I look forward to seeing it when it's opened. Sportpark Ronhof Thomas Sommer. The smallest Bundesliga stadium, and one of the most unusual, in a good way. Yeah, a lot of football stadiums are made up of 4 individual stands, but they usually look nothing like this. It's this section in particular that I'm referring to. The way the southern stand curves around the corner. It looks pretty good though, and I love the hits of green throughout the stadium. It matches the grass. PreZero Arena. It's located in Sinsheim, which has a population of just a few thousand more than the stadium's capacity. But the club that plays here represents the nearby village of Hoffenheim, which is 10 times smaller. Considering all of that, they have quite an impressive stadium. It's nothing that you haven't seen before, but it does look very modern. The exterior looks great, there's plenty of glass used, and the interior is mostly made up of a single tier bowl with a couple of small upper decks on one side, but it too looks fantastic. RheinEnergieStadion. It is a very old stadium, but the structure that you see today was actually built in the mid-2000s. Before that, it still had a running track around the field. I really love that roof. It almost looks like there's a suspension bridge holding up each section of it. Very elegant. They look good from the inside as well, as does the rest of the stadium, which is perfectly symmetrical. A double-tiered stand on each side with the corners partially filled in. Red Bull Arena. Not to be confused with Red Bull Arena, or Estadio do Dragão, which doesn't sound the same, but it certainly looks similar. Something that definitely sets it apart, however, is that it sits on top of the old Zentralstadion. That's why it looks like it's sunken into the ground. Those berms were once the stands of Zentralstadion, built in 1956. Not only does this look kinda cool, but whether it was intended or not, it's a symbol of a democratic Germany crushing communist rule. Because Leipzig was a part of East Germany, a Soviet satellite state when this was built. BayArena. A clever play on words that incorporates the name of the owner of the stadium and the team, Bayer, the pharmaceutical company. Inventors of aspirin, amongst other things. The stadium's most notable feature would have to be the huge round roof that covers all the seats and more. I like that it's translucent. The interior is slightly unconventional, being mostly made up of 2 tiers of seating, but instead of a terrace at one end, there's a section with corporate boxes. But there is actually a terrace, it's just in the corner. Opel Arena. Well, from this angle it looks like it's been built in the middle of rural farmland, but the town of Mainz is just over there. Unlike the last one, there are no really unusual features, but it's a nice stadium. Well, I guess the windows in each corner is somewhat unique. I do like that. I also particularly like how the terrace matches the red seats of the rest of the stadium. It can be a bit of an eyesore when the concrete is left bare. Borussia-Park. Despite being a lot newer, the exterior design is rather similar to Signal Iduna Park. Well, the shape at least. And you can see what I meant when I said those hits of yellow make all the difference. But that's not to say it's boring, it looks fine. Having opened in 2004 and being quite large, you'd think that Borussia-Park would have held some matches at the 2006 World Cup in Germany. But it was surprisingly overlooked. Not sure why, seems like a fine stadium. Allianz Arena. The champions of Europe, and indeed Germany, deserve a world-class stadium, and Allianz Arena is exactly that. It's famous for its groundbreaking, colour-changing exterior. Some people say it looks like a dinghy, some people say it looks like a mattress. All I know is that it looks spectacular at night. The interior looks rather spectacular as well, with the in-your-face Bayern Munich branding on the seating. Mercedes-Benz Arena. Not to be confused with the indoor arena in Berlin that goes by the same name. The stadium has a wraparound fabric roof canopy that's supported by the roller coaster style steel framework. The interior looks a little unique as well. I think that it's the disparity in size between the lower and upper tiers of seating, but it looks great. Volkswagen Arena. Well, if Mercedes-Benz and Opel have an arena, then VW will have one as well. And I think it's probably my favourite of the three, but we're just gotta wait until the results of the emissions test come back before we can be sure. No, but I do really like it, especially the way the roof canopy extends outside the stadium, as well as all the glass used on the exterior. The inside almost looks as good, but not quite. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, then why not hit that subscribe button? It would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, have a good one.